Have you ever found yourself walking into a room and forgetting why you went there? Or maybe you've been reading a book and realized you have to reread the same paragraph twice just to follow along. It happens more than we'd like to admit. And if you're over 60, it's easy to chalk it up to just getting older. But what if I told you that there are everyday habits, tiny things we barely notice, that may actually be working against your brain? Not just slowing it down, but quietly shrinking it over time. I know, that sounds a little dramatic, but it's true. The good news is, once you're aware of these habits, you can gently shift them and protect that amazing brain of yours. Because here's something we often forget: your brain is not fixed. It doesn't have an expiration date. It can grow, heal, adapt, even after 60, 70, or 80. But just like a garden, it depends on how you care for it, what you feed it, how much you challenge it, and just as importantly, what you protect it from. In this video, we're going to talk about a few very common habits that can actually lead to cognitive decline. And I say that not to scare you, but to empower you. Because knowing is power. And when you know what's hurting your brain, you can do something about it. Let's begin with one of the sneakiest habits of all: sitting too much. Now I get it, sitting is comfortable. After a certain age, rest feels well earned. And yes, there's nothing wrong with taking it easy now and then. But when sitting becomes the default, when it stretches on for hours and hours every day, it starts to take a toll on your brain, not just your body. Here's why. When we sit for too long, blood flow slows down. And your brain needs good circulation to get oxygen and nutrients. Without that, brain cells don't function as well, and over time, some can actually shrink. It sounds alarming, but think of it like this: your brain is like a sponge. It needs fresh water flowing through to stay flexible and full. Sitting still for too long cuts off that flow. I'm not saying you have to start running marathons. Just moving a little more throughout the day makes a difference. Stand up during commercials. Walk while you're on the phone. Stretch in the kitchen while your coffee brews. Even gentle movements, ones that feel natural and doable, can help keep your brain well-fed. I know a woman named Carol. She's 73, and she started doing what she calls tea timer walks. Every time she puts on the kettle, she takes a few laps around the living room or does a couple of toe touches. It doesn't sound like much, but over time, she said her thinking felt clearer and her mood brighter. It's not about intensity. It's about intention. The next daily habit to be aware of is one that almost all of us fall into from time to time, and that's social isolation. It doesn't always feel like isolation. Sometimes we think, I'm just enjoying my peace, or I'm too tired to chat today. And that's perfectly okay. Quiet time is healthy. But when days go by without real conversation, without connection, your brain misses out on something vital. Because every time you talk to someone, even if it's just a quick conversation with a neighbor or a call with a friend, your brain gets to practice listening, responding, remembering, interpreting tone, recognizing faces and voices. All of that lights up different parts of the brain, keeping it sharp and active. But when we go days without talking to anyone, especially after retirement, or after losing a spouse, or when kids have moved away, the brain can start to slow down. It's not about loneliness. It's about stimulation. Our brains need engagement, interaction, even a little challenge. A good chat can be like mental aerobics, and often, we don't even realize it. My friend Harold, who's 76, told me he started calling his sister every morning, even if it's just to say good morning and complain about the weather. He laughed and said, "It gives me something to remember and something to look forward to." That's exactly it. Small connections keep us mentally and emotionally alive. And here's something else to consider: brain shrinkage isn't always just about forgetting. Sometimes it shows up as lack of motivation, trouble concentrating, or a kind of mental fog that's hard to describe. You might feel like you're moving through the day on autopilot. And when that happens, it's worth checking in, not just with what you're doing, but also what you're not doing. If you've been spending too much time alone or glued to the couch, don't beat yourself up. This isn't about blame. It's about noticing, gently, and making space for small shifts that can make a big difference. Sometimes, it starts with something as simple as stepping outside and saying hello to the mail carrier, or standing up every hour and walking to the window. These aren't big gestures, but they send a message to your brain: I'm here. I'm still showing up. I'm still growing. And that brings us to another quiet habit that's often overlooked, one that may seem harmless at first but can slowly chip away at your cognitive strength. Let's pause here for a moment, take a breath, and get ready to explore that next habit together, one that might be hiding in plain sight. If you're still watching and feel that these insights are meaningful, please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. Let's pick up right where we left off, with another daily habit that seems innocent, maybe even comforting at times, but can slowly and quietly chip away at your brain health. And that's sleeping too little or sleeping poorly. You might be thinking, well, of course I'm not sleeping like I used to. That's just part of aging. And yes, it's true that our sleep patterns change with time. But that doesn't mean we're meant to live in a fog, dragging ourselves through the day, feeling like our brain is only half awake. Sleep isn't just rest. It's repair. It's memory processing. It's when the brain takes out the trash, literally. During deep sleep, your brain clears away waste and toxins, including those linked to cognitive decline. So when we don't get enough quality sleep, or we're waking up frequently, or lying awake for hours, our brain starts to suffer. And it doesn't always show up as yawning or feeling tired. Sometimes it looks like forgetfulness, or trouble focusing, or feeling overwhelmed by things that used to be simple. A woman I know named Marta, 70, told me she thought she was developing early memory issues. She couldn't remember what day it was, or where she'd placed things. She'd reread the same page of a book 3 times. But after working with her doctor, she discovered the real culprit was sleep apnea, and once she started sleeping better, her memory cleared up too. Not every sleep issue needs medical equipment. Often, it starts with small changes. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day. Turning off screens a little earlier. Making your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Maybe sipping a little chamomile tea instead of scrolling on your phone. These may sound simple, but over time they send a powerful message to your brain: it's safe to rest. And your brain needs rest just as much as it needs stimulation. Imagine trying to clean your house while the lights are off. That's what your brain tries to do when it's working hard all day without enough sleep. It stumbles, it struggles, it slows down. But when you give it time to recharge, really recharge, it comes back stronger, clearer, and sharper. And while we're here, there's one more habit that might surprise you, because it doesn't always look like a bad habit. In fact, it often looks very productive. I'm talking about doing the same thing, the same way, every single day. Now don't get me wrong, routines can be wonderful. They give structure to your day. They help with organization. But if every day looks exactly the same walk, the same breakfast, the same conversations, the same television shows, your brain starts to go into autopilot. It doesn't have to think as hard. It gets comfortable. And while comfort can feel good, your brain actually thrives on variety and challenge. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you lift the same weight, in the same way, every day, eventually, it stops growing. But if you switch it up, try something a little different, that muscle gets stronger. The same goes for your brain. Trying something new doesn't mean learning a new language overnight or taking up skydiving, unless you want to, of course. It could be as simple as cooking a new recipe, listening to a different genre of music, changing the route of your morning walk, or striking up a conversation with someone new at the market. I once met a gentleman named Ray, 78 years old, widowed, quiet by nature. For years he followed the same daily routine. He wasn't unhappy, just flat. Then one day, on a whim, he signed up for a watercolor class at the community center. He'd never painted before, and he told me he felt ridiculous showing up that first day. But something changed. The act of trying something unfamiliar lit something up inside him. He wasn't just painting. He was remembering, feeling, creating. And more importantly, his mind felt sharper. Like it had been dusted off and brought back to life. That's what novelty does. It lights up new parts of the brain. It encourages growth. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. Even switching hands while brushing your teeth or rearranging the photos on your wall can add just enough variation to give your brain a nudge. So here's something gentle to consider. Where in your day can you introduce a little new? A little curiosity? A small shift that reminds your brain, I'm still learning. I'm still growing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be successful. The act of trying is what matters. That's where the magic is. Now, let's take a breath here. We've talked about stillness, sleep, routine, and how, when not managed mindfully, these very normal parts of life can quietly contribute to mental fog, forgetfulness, and even shrinkage of the brain over time. But the best part? You're not stuck with any of it. Every single one of these habits can be shifted, softened, reshaped, one small step at a time. And you're not starting from scratch. You've got wisdom on your side. Experience. Awareness. And most of all, you've got the willingness to show up for yourself, to stay awake, alive, and present in your life. It's easy to feel like the brain is something that just declines with age, like it has a timer running out and there's nothing we can do to stop it. But that's simply not true. Just like your muscles, your bones, or your heart, your brain responds to how you treat it. And it's never too late to start treating it with a little more care, a little more challenge, and a whole lot more kindness. By now, maybe one or two of those habits we've talked about sounded familiar. Maybe you've noticed yourself sitting for long stretches without moving much. Or maybe you've been going days without really connecting with someone outside your house. Maybe your sleep has become more restless, or your daily routine has gotten so repetitive, you could almost do it with your eyes closed. If that's the case, be gentle with yourself. None of this is about blame. It's about noticing. Awareness is the first step toward change. And the beautiful thing is, your brain is just waiting for your next move. It doesn't take much to turn things around. Think about it like watering a garden that's been dry for a while. At first, it might look the same. But give it a little sunshine, a little attention, and a consistent trickle of fresh water, and slowly, it starts to bloom again. Your brain works in much the same way. Small, steady efforts add up. Tiny changes, done often, can make a world of difference. So if you've been sitting too long, just stand up for a minute. Stretch your arms. Wiggle your toes. Walk to the kitchen and back. That 1 minute matters. If you've been feeling isolated, try calling someone. It doesn't have to be a deep conversation. Just hearing a familiar voice or laughing together over something silly lights up parts of your brain that haven't been used in a while. If your sleep has been off, maybe tonight, you'll try turning off the TV 30 minutes earlier. Light a candle, listen to soft music, or read something gentle. Give your brain the signal that it's time to rest and repair. And if life's been on repeat, pick one tiny thing to shake up. Maybe you take a new route to the store. Or listen to a song from a different decade. Or try brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. These aren't big changes, but they send a message. I'm awake. I'm curious. I'm still in the game. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to overhaul your entire routine. The goal isn't to become some kind of superhuman. It's simply to give your brain what it truly loves: movement, connection, rest, and novelty. These are the nutrients that keep it full and strong. And maybe most importantly, remind yourself that you are still learning. You are still growing. And that in itself is a powerful act of resilience. Because while you can't change the number of birthdays you've celebrated, you can absolutely shape the quality of the days still ahead. One of the most hopeful things I've seen, over and over, is how quickly the brain responds to these shifts. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s, even 90s, regain focus, energy, and joy just by tweaking how they spend their time. Not by adding more pressure, but by adding more presence. More intentionality. More life. So today, give yourself a moment to reflect. Not with guilt. With love. Ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do today that would support my brain? Then do it, not because you have to, but because you're worth it. Because staying sharp isn't about fear. It's about freedom. It's about being able to live the life you want, remembering names, finishing stories, laughing at the right moments, and walking through each day feeling like you. You don't have to accept brain fog as your new normal. You don't have to hand over your clarity or your joy just because the calendar has turned another year. Your brain is still very much with you. Still ready to serve you, support you, and surprise you if you give it the chance. And if this video reminded you of that, if it gave you even one idea or one moment of, I needed that, I hope you'll let me know. Leave a comment and share something you're going to try. It might inspire someone else to start, too. We're all in this together, learning, adjusting, and moving forward with grace. And if you'd like more encouragement like this, simple tips, thoughtful conversations, real talk about staying sharp and living fully, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is a space for people who believe aging doesn't mean fading, it means refining, deepening, becoming more of who we're meant to be. So here's to fewer habits that shrink the brain and more choices that nourish it. Here's to standing up, reaching out, sleeping deeply, and trying something new. Here's to living awake, fully, bravely, and beautifully at any age. You're doing better than you think. And your brain? It's quietly rooting for you every step of the way. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned from this video and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your insights mean a lot to us and give us the motivation to keep spreading positivity and practical advice. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support truly helps us continue creating meaningful content that informs, inspires, and uplifts. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.